Yo, what's up? Welcome to the NBA, where great talents grace the court and every game counts. Today, we're diving into the NBA Eastern Conference Atlantic Division standings as of today in the 2023-24. The Boston Celtics, with their new offseason acquisitions, are leading the division so far, but the Philadelphia 76ers aren't far behind. The rivalry between these two teams still fuel their competitive matchups. Joel Embiid, the reigning MVP, and upstart Tyrese Maxey hopefully are ready for a challenge. Meanwhile, the Knicks are in the middle of the division. But they still have Jalen Brunson playing great basketball with a good defense to help them win games. The Nets are still trying to figure out a style of play that's consistent for them, but Mikal and Cam Thomas are bright spots to look at this season. And lastly, who could forget the Toronto Raptors, who may not be the worst in the conference, but the division they are in is stacked. Barnes is improving like I expected instead of the season prior, which is a good sign, but this team might be a seller at the deadline. Next up, we have the Central Division standings. This division, although not as tough as the Atlantic, but still home to a main contender out east. The Greek Freak and Giannis welcome Dame time as they look to dominate the division once again. The Indiana Pacers have been a pleasant surprise with up-and-coming point guard Tyrese Halliburton leading the league in assists and running a high-powered offense to run with the best of them. Cleveland has started slow, but their dynamic backcourt and solid frontcourt will figure it out as the season goes on. Now we get to the bottom of the division, and the Chicago Bulls have been awful to start the year. Players-only meetings after Game 1, and now the trade rumors involving Zach LaVine. This team made their bed years ago, and now they will be movers at the deadline. And lastly, who could forget the lowly Detroit Pistons? Most fans already have given up hope for a rebuilding team. I still will not understand the point of hiring a win-now coach during a development year. Injuries to floor spacers and being stuck with terrible rotations and blowing leads has been an eyesore. Ozar Thompson has been a first-team all-defense level on that end. Cade Cunningham has been solid, but can they start getting some wins to validate the new moves made to improve? Only the future can tell, but so far it's looking like last season on repeat. And finally, we have the Southeast Division standings. Miami has been the best in the division with the current core of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Herro. Injuries and great teams have been the only thing stopping them from a championship. The Heat culture has been great, but the division this year isn't as easy as past years. The Orlando Magic are coming off a solid season for their standards. This year they are hoping their young versatile frontcourt can make them a force to be reckoned with in the next couple of seasons. Atlanta Hawks still have Trae Young and DeJounte Murray and are a playoff team as well as possible play-in team. Wins against others in the division would help them keep in the race. Now we get to the bottom of the division, and the Charlotte Hornets roster leaves a lot to be desired. LaMelo is talented, but he can't carry this roster as constructed. Miles Bridges' return could help, but Brandon Miller's development is key for their possible turnaround. And lastly, who could forget the Washington Wizards? The pool party hasn't made its splash as expected, and Kuzma has been decent from a numbers perspective. The team lacks a locker room leader, and the chemistry needs work. The East still has time to shape up and weed out the pretenders from the contenders. The Western Conference has quite a few teams competing for good positioning in their divisions. We start Northwest with the reigning NBA champion Denver Nuggets as they start the year hot. Murray missing the rest of the month will be a test for them. Jokic being the best player in the division as well as the league says it's possible. Minnesota Timberwolves are currently tied with Denver for the division lead with KAT, Gobert, and Anthony Edwards playing great defense and getting quality wins against the Nuggets and other great teams earlier. The Thunder are striking with the addition of Chet Holmgren to a hungry young team. Shai is looking like that guy to help them get to the playoffs. Utah is still in this weird limbo of developing the few young guys while utilizing the assets received from 2 off-seasons ago. Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson are good players, but will they be enough to help them overachieve in this early season? And lastly, the Portland Trailblazers, who are fresh off losing Damian Lillard, are in a situation where the team is forced into a rebuild. Scoot Henderson needs more time to become the player fans hope he would be, and Shaedon Sharpe is looking really solid this season. Overall, this division is top-heavy so far, with the bottom teams looking to develop as the season progresses. Next is the tougher division in West parity-wise. The Pacific Division is wide open this season and is anyone's to take. The Sacramento Kings won the division last season and look to defend the crown this year. De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are looking like the 1-2 punch that teams will have trouble containing. The shooting is still there, but can they survive the competition out west? The Los Angeles Lakers are looking to win more than the division, but winning would help their playoff chances. LeBron James and Anthony Davis have their work cut out for them if they want a legit chance at number 18. The Phoenix Suns are dead in the middle, but they have their star-powered trio of KD, D-Book, and Beal. They have a good enough supporting cast to compete, but can the trio play enough games together to move up the standings? Golden State still has time to get it together, but there is this feeling of the dynasty window creaking shut every game they lose and every Draymond antic hurting them. The team looks to be just Steph Curry, and that won't cut it. The conference is tough enough, let alone the division. And lastly, the Clippers have had it rough with James Harden arrival. Westbrook has chosen to come off the bench, and if they can turn things around, they are a legit contender. PG and Kawhi must lead this team. If not, this will be a permanent spot for them standings-wise. Last division to go over is the Southwest, and the Mavericks are leading the division so far, and Luka and Kyrie have been great offensively. Derek Lively too looks like the big they need, and he should develop fine at this role. Tim Hardaway is shooting well so far, and the offense looks tough to contain. The Houston Rockets have been a surprise this year to most, considering the spending spree they went on this offseason, but it has definitely paid off, along with Ime Udoka coaching the team. Jalen Green is growing as well. Sengun Van Vliet has been a good leader for them so far. The New Orleans Pelicans need Zion and Ingram to play and take leaps to help this team compete for the division lead. They have the roster and coaching staff to be a top 5 team in the West. The division leader last season was the Memphis Grizzlies. Right now, Ja Morant is still serving his suspension, and the team desperately need him, as well as Steven Adams, but he is out for the year. Bane and Triple J aren't efficient enough to lead them to wins. They are bad now, but we'll see if they are still as bad as the San Antonio Spurs, who love running Jeremy Sochan at point guard. Were gifted Victor Wembanyama and have to develop him properly. The Spurs have their future riding on if he's the next big thing, and they can't afford him developing losing habits. How will the rest of the league play out? Can teams at the bottom turn around their season? Who will finish as the division champs? Stay tuned to this exciting season, 'cause you know I will.